two messages, very important messages of the program. First, it showcases the lack of access that women have to formal financial mechanisms and savings, but not only savings, also credit and bank accounts. As you may know, nowadays 1 billion women globally lack bank accounts. And, while the trend has been sort of upwards in terms of people having bank accounts, the gender gap has not budged. It's a 7% gap globally. In sub-Saharan Africa between 2011 and 2014, 23% of men had bank accounts in 2011. That went to 40% in 2014. For women, it's 20% in 2011 to only 25% in 2014. So this is not smart, and I think that's a very big message of the report. Banks and financial sector providers more generally have to start looking at women as a potential market, a market segment that they need to address. And this is because it's going to be good for them as well as for women. The second message of the report is on business training. As you may know, business management training and business training in general is the kind of thing that a lot of organizations do to upgrade women's skills to get them to the market. With the ExxonMobil Foundation in 2013, we did a report where we looked at the whole evidence, of the empirical evidence, and we found out that, in fact, business management training in itself did not do much to improve women's economic opportunities. This report now, and I think the Tanzania pilot, it shows that what really matters is the quality of business management training. In this case, TechnoServe did 12 weeks of business management training for the women, very high quality. So high quality business management training boosted the effects of the mobile savings, and it matters. Finally, I think that the big message also of the report is that up to now we have been focusing on women. We give them training skills, we sort of give them information. We have not looked really at financial sector providers and at all the gender biases that are implicit in financial services. So I think that what we want to do now is to change the message and to start telling in the supply of services to banks, to financial sector providers, to mobile phone operators, that they have to design quality products for women. Thank you.
Now, of course, we were discussing this on email, just trying to wrap our minds around this particular interview. And it was noted, of course, the program we're talking about is SheCounts, the first to focus on mobile saving mechanisms for low-income women entrepreneurs. And now, this is a mouthful, but how is this the first? We've had a lot happening even with the World Bank. We've had a lot happening with different development banks across Africa. How exactly, when you say this is the first to work on this particular segment of the market, how is that so?
It's not the first, but it's one of the first. The one thing that I think up to now, what has been prevailing is providing credit, microcredit to women. There have been very few programs that provide formal financial savings to women. So I think that the discussion now changes, realizing the importance of savings and not only credit for women. And in fact, microcredit does not really help women, but it does not transform their occupations and their incomes. Savings, however, in fact, do so.
Right. Of course, another issue now is the number one issue was women are savers, better savers than men, and that is without a doubt a fact. But as we move towards the nationalization and implementing what you saw from the report back into probably national policy or advising the same, we have to have a cross-cutting, gender-regardless solution for saving. So how does that from the report now tie into the national mandate? We'll start off with Tanzania and possibly how this could be replicated.
Right. I think there's where there's a very important role for the public sector and for financial regulators to play. One of the first things that has to be happen is banks and financial sector providers have to start disaggregating their data to realize that they have a new client, a new customer base. So I think that one of the big messages is, and this is starting to happen in some countries in Africa, for instance, and I think Rwanda is a good example, where the financial regulators are asking private sector banks to sex disaggregate their data. More broadly and globally, we are in conversations with the International Monetary Fund, and the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and whatever are starting also to request voluntary at this point of countries to submit sex disaggregated supply sector data. Because we know from the demand side, we know what is the gap. But I think that what we want to do is to have banks realize the kind of customer base that they have and the kind of customer base that they need. And then, the other thing that this program will do is SheCounts, with Women's World Banking, sort of coordinating this program with us, with the Center for Global Development and the ExxonMobil Foundation, is gather together financial sector providers, researchers, other stakeholders, banks, mobile phone operators, and start, looking at how to design better financial products for women based on empirical evidence, based on really what works and what doesn't work.